Hey everybody, this is Gordon and welcome back to Kitchen Quest. Today we are making pastitsio. Now this is a Greek-style pasta layer dish, similar to lasagna. Our base layer is going to be bucatini pasta, which is a hollow type spaghetti. Then we're going to do a layer of a meat sauce with a tomato base, some more bucatini, and then we're going to do a bechamel on top, which is a French-style white sauce that's started off as a roux. So why don't we get started? You will need 1 pound of bucatini pasta, cooked al dente with some of the pasta water reserved. For the tomato sauce, we'll need San Marzano tomatoes, tomato paste, half of an onion, and some garlic and some basil. For the meat, we're gonna do a blend of ground beef. I use ground chuck and some ground pork. And for the bechamel sauce, we're gonna have cream or milk and some Ramano cheese. So let's cut the onion in half. For the tomato sauce mixture, I'm going to do a little bit of a rougher dice on the onions. Since it's going to cook down a little bit, it can be a little bit bigger. For the meat mixture, I'm going to do a little bit more of a fine dice so that it blends in a little bit. Go ahead and dice all of the garlic up. Put half in the tomato sauce and half in with the ground meat. The basil we're going to take and we're going to roll it all together, and then we're going to go ahead and slice that into strips and chop that down a little bit more. You don't want to get too rough with fresh herbs because you can bruise them, and that's not the best way to cook with it. So we'll go ahead and we'll dice those up so that it's just a little bit smaller. We're going to start with putting some olive oil in the pan. And let that smoke just a little bit. We're going to go ahead and add the garlic. Stir that around a little bit. Now we're going to add the onions. Now again, we did a little bit of a rougher dice here because it's the tomato sauce and it will cook down. Give it a quick stir. Next, we're going to add the can of tomatoes. I use crushed San Marzano, but you can use whole tomatoes and just break it up yourself. Whatever's easier. Give it a quick stir. We're going to add some salt, some fresh pepper, a little bit of paprika, and the reserved cooking water from the pasta. I use about a half a cup. Give that a quick stir. Next, we're going to go ahead and add all of that basil. We're going to bring this up to a simmer, and then we're going to let it cook down for half an hour to an hour or so. Tomato paste goes in now as well. Stir that in. You can see we've got the nice simmer going on. Now we're going to start with the bechamel sauce. So we're going to melt down some butter. Once that's melted, we're going to go ahead and add an equal amount of flour. We're going to cook that for just about a minute or two to get rid of that cereal taste, and so it browns a little bit. Now we're going to go ahead and add all of the cold milk. You want to make sure it's cold. And we're going to stir that up with a whisk. And then we're slowly going to bring the temperature up on this. Once you got it at a little bit of a simmer, we're going to add some salt, a little bit of pepper, some nutmeg is good in this as well. We're going to whisk this all together. There we go. I'll add some paprika as well. There's the nutmeg. We're going to whisk this all together. And we're going to let that reduce. Now let's start with the meat. We're gonna add some olive oil to the pan, garlic, let that sweat just a little bit. Kind of infuse all that flavor into the olive oil. Quick stir, and now we'll add in all of the onions. We're gonna stir these up. We just want them slightly translucent. A nice even stir there. Now we're gonna go ahead and add all of the ground meat on. And give it a nice brown. Okay. Once again, some salt. Some fresh cracked pepper. A little bit of paprika. If you can't tell, I like paprika. We're just gonna brown all that meat up, break it up in nice small pieces. Once the meat is good and browned, we're gonna deglaze the pan with some white wine. Stirring everything up, scraping the bottom of the pan to get all the chunks of the charred meat off the bottom. That's extra flavor there. Now we're gonna scoop in the tomato sauce that has been reducing for about half an hour to an hour. Mix all that together. If we don't have enough of the tomato sauce, we'll go ahead and add some more. Whatever's left, you can serve as leftovers later on. Add a little bit more tomato sauce. I didn't have quite enough. I'm going to stir that all in. We're gonna add some fresh parsley right at the end here because we don't want that to cook too much. Stir that around. You can use dried parsley as well. And once all that has reduced down a little bit, we're gonna go ahead and remove this from the heat and set it aside for now. And we're gonna finish the bechamel sauce. Now it's reduced, we're gonna go ahead and add the Ramano cheese. A little bit at a time, stir it all together. Make sure you scrape the sides. And we're gonna add beaten egg. Right at the very end here, we don't want this to cook too much. Whisk it all together. Take it off the heat. Now let's assemble the pastitsio. We're gonna start by adding the bucatini, about half of it to the bottom of the pan. And we're gonna add a little bit more Ramano cheese on top there. We're gonna go ahead and add our meat mixture. Make it nice and even. Doesn't have to be too even here. You can even it out a little bit afterwards. There we go, evening it out. Next, we're gonna add a little bit more of our Ramano cheese. Now we're gonna add the rest of the bucatini pasta. Get a nice layer here. Even that out a bit. Add a little bit more Ramano cheese, can never have too much of that. Now we're gonna pour the bechamel sauce over the top. Nice and even. Even it out a bit with our whisk, or spoon, or fork, whatever you have. It's okay if a little bit of the bucatini sticks out. That'll just crisp up in the oven, and that's my favorite part. Get a chopstick, and you wanna just make little holes down so that all the bechamel gets down to the bottom layer there. Once we finish up with that, we're gonna dust the top with a little bit of paprika just for some color. Okay, even that out. We're gonna go ahead and put that in the oven. Now, once it's done, it's gonna be nice and browned on top. You can see those little pieces of the bucatini sticking out. Nice and crispy. And there we have a beautiful pastitsio. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video as much as I did. I'm gonna go sit and enjoy this meal. Don't forget to hit subscribe below, and I will see you guys next time.